And we have to walk alongside our kids. We need to understand the soup that they're living in, the cultural soup that they're living in. And we need to help teach them discernment to be able to engage and interact from a theological perspective, right? Now, this is scary for us because it actually takes control out of our hands to some degree, right? But that's what we're called to. And the other thing that happens is we have to think hard about our faith. And I think that's, I think one of the things that I'm a little nervous about is that we don't think as hard about our faith as maybe we used to do 20, 30 years ago. I think we're more distracted. We have lots more bits of information coming in. We're busy. And that's going to have some serious consequences, both for our own journey and the journey of our children. And so we need to engage well. We need to engage humbly. We need to engage with respect when we're engaging our public sector, right? 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 15, always be prepared to give an answer for the faith that you have, but do so with gentleness and respect, right? And so if we can model that with our kids and they can see that, so we're strong but respectful, gentle, that changes stuff. The other thing that's been really important is by God's grace again, and I'm sharing the best 5 moments I've had with my kids. I can't explain how many failures we constantly have, but really trying to teach our kids, give our kids a sense of being missional even now. And so just consistently saying to my boys, God has you at your school for a reason, guys. And so you're servants, how can you serve? What does it look like to love others? How do you respond to the bully? How would Jesus have you respond? Because our lives are to be missional, and so we need to begin to place that in their hearts and their minds even now. And that radically changes how we interact with the culture and the messages that come our way, because we already know that our role is to be agents of transformation. So obviously we got to engage this differently, right? And so if we can really be building that into the reality, into the fabric of who our children are at a very, very early age, I think by God, I think that's how He's designed the transformation process, generally speaking,
that reminds me, when I first came to Jesus, I remember a friend saying to me, I can only give you one piece of advice. And he was saying, you can't just assume that everybody believes in the Bible.
Totally.
You can't assume that everybody believes in Jesus. So you can't hold everybody up to the same standard.
No.
You can only hold yourself up to that standard. And that's exactly what you're saying, is that we need to be servants. We need to be witnesses for Jesus in everything we say and we do. We can't expect people who do not believe in Jesus to walk the same way.
No, and you know what? That's so brilliant. We can't expect that. I mean, the only reason we're different is grace. That's the only reason we're different. And so we're journeying as well. But we really, so we offer lots of grace as we journey with others. And we really have to see the reality that the gospel is what we say, but the gospel affects all areas of our life and faith, that the gospel is lived out in our values and how we function. And there is a powerful reality that says if we hold to His teachings, we're really His disciples, then we'll know the truth will set us free, that there is something free to be who God's really created us to be that's incredibly attractive, to some degree, as we live that gospel out. And our presence can be transformative. That's why Christ said we're to be salt. Because the role of salt, primarily in New Testament times, was that of a preservative. And so He calls us into culture to live as salt, that our lifestyles will act as a type of preservatives for the sake of the gospel within the culture we live in. And so we must engage, and we must live that gospel out.